Okay, we're gonna listen to what some more train of thought and on this mental disorders from psychiatrists in the psychiatry field is saying, and the DSM-5 and all that horse shit that they use. But we are just going to tie it in. What we're going to do is we're going to listen. We're going to use our thinking brains, our reasoning brains, okay? And we're not going to just say, oh, kids don't listen, so you got to beat them until, there's something wrong with the fucking child. No, there's something wrong with your goddamn environment. These children are being made to comply. Listen very closely to what they're talking about. They're talking about compliance. Compliance. They want them to listen. They want them to obey. They're not addressing what they want them to comply with, what they want them to obey with, how sick our society is, how disgusting and against and inorganic and unnatural our society is and our environment is. No, they just want to talk about how bad these kids are that they won't listen.
This is actually pretty common. So between 2 and 6 kids before age 8, and that's the age group you just outlined, will have significant oppositionality. And for the younger group, boys are more than girls, but after...
Will have significant oppositionality. Where do you guys think that comes from? That, they tell us that just comes, you just got to break his spirit. Oh, he's just, it's the devil, you just got to beat those demons out of him. Oh, no, it's the natural processes of our mind and our spirits as individuals, and knowing the difference between a sick society and a toxic, poisonous environment, as opposed to a safe, loving, nurturing environment where we are at liberty. Freedom of our spirit, mind, and will.
Puberty, girls step it up, step it out, and cause more problems.
Cocksuckers, they all make me sick.
When the parents come in, they'll say things like, the child doesn't listen. And what they mean by that, of course, is the child doesn't do what they said to do.
You hear that? And see, this is how they talk. What the parent means, of course, is the child won't do what I want him to do. Yeah, but bitch, when fucking all of these goddamn government agencies and these teachers say that, you aren't talking to them like that they won't do what you want them to do. Why? So you're saying, so you are belittling parents and acting like, well, maybe the parent needs to just change what they're trying to get the child to do. But when it comes to a classroom or where the group think comes in, you don't say that. You don't say, oh, well, maybe it's what we're trying to teach them. Maybe it's what we're trying to shove down their fucking throats. No, you don't say that. You say, oh, he's in opposition. Oh, he's defiant.
Or they're not minding, or they're doing the opposite of what I say, or they're disrespectful, which usually means talking back. And sometimes they may be very overt in saying, I have to tell her 100 times. Which tells you a little bit about what's going on with the parenting, actually. So we have to keep in mind that...
So it tells you a little bit that goes on with the parenting. It also tells you what goes on, a little bit go on with the schools. It tells you a little bit what's going on with the medical industry. It tells you a little bit what's going on with our society in general.
The typical compliance of preschoolers is about 60%, which means 6 out of 10 times you tell a preschool child what to do, they'll do it.
Isn't that crazy? They got this shit down. Look, typical compliance of preschoolers is 60%. So 6 out of every 10 times you tell that fucker to do something, he's going to fucking do it. The other 4 times is what you're trying to break. You're trying to break that non-compliance and oppositionality, because I'm sure they're trying to get that cocksucking number up to 100% by the time they're in first grade, second grade. And hence why they give them fucking pills.
But non-compliant children, it may be only 30% of the time that they do what the parents say. And of course, these things have names.
Non-compliant children are like, fuck you, 7 out of 10 times. You're goddamn right. Fuck you, motherfuckers, you abusive, cocksucking, selfish, self-righteous bitches.
Psychiatry loves to make names. And in the DSM-PC, which is the primary care version of the DSM, they have a name called the aggressive oppositional variation, which is kids who are having these behaviors several times a week, but it's really having minimal impact on the child or family. If it gets worse than that, it begins to affect the child or family and have moderate impact, is called aggressive oppositional problem. And if it's worse than that, it's called oppositional defiant disorder. And this is the one that parents say, they say, oh, the doctor said they had ODD.
So it's on a scale. Okay, guys, we're all on a scale. And if we continue to insert our will and what we want in our fucking, then we're considered defiant. We are considered oppositional defiant disorder. And you cocksuckers, before you sit there, you fucking self-righteous cocksucking parents sit there and tell me, well, you have to teach, your kid has to eat, your kid has to go to school, your kid has to listen, your kid has to do all this. You are so brainwashed. Let me tell you something. A disorder. Let's figure out what a disorder is. How about that? Let's figure what it... Actually, let's look up what order is. Because, first of all, you have to establish order before you're going to have a disorder, right? So, oppositional defiant disorder is against the order. Okay, so what is order? Let's find out what fucking order is. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. I got this son of a bitch right here in front of me somewhere. Order. To regulate. To methodize. To systemize. To adjust. To subject to system in management and execution. To lead. To conduct. To direct. To command. To manage. To treat. To ordain. To put into holy order. To direct. To depose. Wow. Yeah. You guys feeling what order is? Sounds like psychopathy to me. That's what it sounds like to fucking me. It sounds like this operational defiant disorder is a big fuck you to all the goddamn psychopaths and their abusive systems that they have in place. So let's see, what is disorder? Let's see. That's what it seems like to me, just from my common sense fucking perspective on the goddamn matter. MNOP, disorder. Okay, here we go. Disorder. Want of order or regular disposition. Irregularity. Neglect of rule. Irregularity. Breach of laws. Violation of standing rules or enactments. Disturbance of the peace of society. Irregularity, disturbance or interruption of the functions of the animal economy, disease, distemper, sickness, discomposure of the mind. Okay? Are you guys getting it? Are you fucking getting it? They set up this goddamn psychopathic fucking, listen to me, this is what's fucking going to happen. These are all your goddamn rules. They start you off at childhood by fucking injecting heavy toxins into your vein and destroying that bond you have with your parents. And they teach your parents that they have to teach you how to sleep and eat. So they have completely crushed that bond. What they have done is they have taught your parents to preschool you in the act of abusive systems. That way, by the time they get to preschool and you start acting out several times per week, they can put you in this class. And then if you begin to act out even more, they put you in that class. And the next thing you know, you're in the operational defiant disorder.
That's what they meant. They often don't know what ODD stands for. They say, well, you've got ADHD and ODD.
Parents go in there, don't even know what the fuck it is. They literally just, oh, doctor, thank you. What do we do, doctor?
And that stands for oppositional defiant disorder. And so the current definition of oppositional defiant disorder is a persistent pattern of angry and irritable mood, along with defiant and vindictive behavior, as evidenced by...
They are tying angry and irritable mood. When you are defiant against something, it's because you're trying to get your point across. You are trying to tell somebody else, hold on, I don't agree. And as a child, especially if you had piss poor parenting, which 99.9% of us did, and we were born into these slavery systems, we are so on edge. Of course, we display it with anger and irritability. But they tie that in like the anger and irritability is something that needs to be addressed and taken care of because that's not good.
4 or more of the following symptoms being displayed, and with one or more persons other than siblings. And that's actually a real move forward on the part of...
Do you hear her? That's a real move forward on the part of psychiatry that they added in other than siblings. It took them, God knows, probably 15 years to add in that little fucking pieces. And these cocksuckers just drag their legs and wait for the people in front of them to tell them, okay, now we're going to do this. They don't use any of their own common sense. These cocksuckers live by ego and status, and they don't give a fuck about your kids. They call them oppositional defiant disorder because they will not obey. And they will not comply. Well, why will they not obey and comply? Because we live in a sick, perverted, fucked up society.
DSM-5, because a lot of kids act oppositional with their siblings. So that would probably include most kids who have siblings anyway. But now counting other than siblings, they've now divided the symptoms up into 3 categories. So the angry, irritable mood, losing temper, being touchy or easily annoyed by others, angry and resentful. The defiant, headstrong behavior, which is arguing, defying or refusing to comply with adult requests or rules, deliberately annoying people, and blaming others for his or her mistakes. And then the worst one of all is actually the vindictiveness category. This child has been spiteful or vindictive at least twice in the past 6 months. Now,
Spiteful or vindictive at least twice in the 6 months. I'll tell you what, man, I know fucking adults who are spiteful and vindictive fucking twice a day. Are you fucking kidding me? This is such a goddamn joke. These people literally hold themselves up by studying. This shit changes constantly, guys. Constantly, this information's changing and fucking nuancing, and the words changing, and they move shit here to there, and they go. I mean, these cocksuckers, all of this is just a natural fucking biological reaction of our fucking bodies, of our minds, of our souls to fucking authority, to goddamn slavery, to being ruled over. That's all this is.
this symptom, the vindictive symptom, is the one with the strongest correlation with later serious problems like conduct disorder. So that
conduct disorder.
Attention to that one.
I want to stick my dick in every one of their
If
asses.
it's under 5, it has to be most days for 6 months. If you're over 5, it has to occur at least once a week for 6 months. And the frequency and intensity.
Holy fuck, dude. Look at that. So additional considerations that they need in order. So first of all the considerations for this fucking disorder are all have to do with just not fucking wanting to listen to ill fucking gotten rules. Must occur at least one time a week for 6 months. So one of their considerations, if they're if the child's over 5 years old, they only have to do this. They only have to disobey non-compliance or act out one time a week for 6 months to be considered for this. It's a fucking joke.
Of these behaviors has to be not within the norm for the child's developmental level, gender, and culture. So keeping in mind the children who are...
Why does gender and culture have anything to do with it? Because it's your environment, stupid. They said it right there, your fucking culture. That's why the frequency and intensity of non-conformity for developmental level, gender, and culture. It's based on your... That's the answer right there. Right motherfucking there. In this fucking stupid developmental level bullshit, they try to say every 3-year-old should fucking be able to do this. Every 4-year-old should be able to do this. I mean, it's disgusting, dude, that we let these cocksuckers tell us what fucking our kids should be able to do.
Have intellectual disabilities and have a mental age of a younger child, you should be judging them based on what you might see in a younger child. Then, of course, as in all DSM diagnoses, it has to have clinical significant impairment in social, educational, or vocational activities. Now, for oppositional defiant disorder, this doesn't have to be in multiple settings the way ADHD does. It can be in just one setting. And guess where it usually is? It's usually at home. And that makes sense because the child is more comfortable at home and spends more time there. And often children are able to behave in school, but don't behave at home. Now, if you see it,
Often children are able to behave at school, but don't behave at home. Oh man, it's just that's disgusting. It's so disgusting, man. You know, they behave at school because they're in groupthink and they see other kids, so they're going along with the crowd. And like we saw on those other stats prior to this, 6 out of every 10 times these motherfuckers will listen as they're training them in preschool. So once they get in, you know, into these higher grades, now you got 90% of the class, 95% of the fucking class listening. So yes, now why is this happening more in the home than he is fucking school? Because when they're in school, not only do they have multiple dictators with multiple things, but they have all these other peers, these other kids their age, these other souls walking around that are all complying. So so it makes even the hardcore motherfucker that wants to fucking stick his finger up the teacher's ass, instead of him doing that, he just looks at it makes him complacent. And then that's why everybody wants these pills, to just make them complacent so that we can stop fucking thinking and quit having to fucking think, because they know they have to go along with the program, but they just cannot do it mentally in awareness, in consciousness. Because it's slavery, guys.